Today we're going to see how you can go from window scraper guides looking like this to this on an L-body Charger. These are the tools that you're going to want to have: an 11mm socket with extension and a ratchet, a 10mm socket with a ratchet, Phillips head screwdriver, panel popper tool can be useful, and also a pair of diagonal cutters. I'm using from Jegs. I forgot the name brand, but here is the part number. They are generic window scrapers, but they'll do the job for what we need to do. First step is to remove the entire door panel. Sorry, I don't cover this. I haven't had a door panel in years. But once that's off, this video will be more useful to you. With the window rolled down, you're going to want to remove these guides here, and also this guy. I believe it's to hold the door card on, but this should come off too. It'll make life easier during the deinstall process. They are 10mm bolts, so we'll go ahead and take care of that now. I'm going to use my impact driver to take off everything, but hand tight everything when going back together. This is just going to make it go a lot faster. Now with the guides out of the way, we're going to want to roll up our window just a little bit to expose the bolts, or the bolts for the window. There are three nuts total. They're not bolts, sorry. There's 3 nuts total holding on the window to the regulator. So we'll go ahead and remove those. Because of working with glass, I don't like to use the impact. So hand tools are your friend. They're not too hard to get off. And there's windows to get to the bolts. So again, there's 3 total. And if you drop them, they'll just end up in the bottom of the door for you to fish out. The next part here is simply lifting the window out of the door and avoiding the studs getting caught on the door itself. So as you can see, first one, you find a gap, goes up. Second one, find a gap, goes up. Third one, and you're all set. And you're going to want to put the glass somewhere safe, and it always helps to clean it too, because 40 years of crud goes a long way. So a couple things to just make life a lot easier. There's going to be 2 screws holding on this door end cap seal weather stripping, so we're going to want to remove these 2 here. And we can get this kind of exposed and out of the way for now. Removing this one here will just make life easier as well, which is 1 screw. So you're not fighting it when you're installing the new stripping. There's a total of 8 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Holding on here the window scraper and also this chrome trim piece. So I recommend only using a hand screwdriver to take them out so you don't strip anything, and just back them on out, and everything should come out after that. This second to last one has a little window even, so you can get the screw out. And there you go. There's the old cruddy window scraper. Now you're going to want to keep this for our next big step. And then the next part, take this trim off, because we are going to use it as a guide. So I wanted to point out here, last time I used the chrome trim piece for the other side as my guide. And then this is the original with the new piece underneath it. You want the felt side, the soft side, to be touching the window. So rubber side, full rubber side up. And as you can see, if you lay it over on top, so as you can see, the new piece goes straight where the old piece has a curve with the door kind of rotating up a little bit. Now for the passenger side, these are filled with a metal strip, and just the process of screwing it in, the metal formed to where I needed it to go. I think though, to make life just a little bit easier, I'm gonna cut a small relief, a pie cut right here, in order for it to just form and mold a little bit better. And we are going to use the old guide with the holes as a template. So I'm gonna go through with a drill and put a hole in each corresponding area. You can see at the end that our new piece, because it is universal, it's longer. So we're gonna be trimming that down as well. And for me, that's close enough for government work for what we needed to do. So here we go. So now I have everything pretty lined up as far as the bend goes. As you can see, the old piece here is overlaying. So I'm gonna cut the access off over here. And then it's pretty much flush on this side here. Just double check everything before you cut. If you're afraid, and that's okay, you can always cut a little bit long, because you can always make it shorter if you need to. If you don't have knips as your diagonal cutters, highly recommend them. You get really good leverage with the length. So I'll go ahead and line up the strips again to use as our guide, and then we'll get to drilling. There's all the holes. You can see that the old one was slotted side to side. So you can go in there with your drill and wallow the hole out a little bit more, just to make life a little bit easier during your install. So I'll go ahead and do that now. All right, so next step is we're gonna put the chrome trim back on to the front of the door here. Just make sure the slots line up with the screw holes. And then we're gonna put on our window scraper molding. Once again, there's 8 screws. Go by hand, screwdriver, and we're gonna install it. You want the felt facing you, which will make it glide against the window. I find it helpful to put the screw, at least the first one, in the felt first, or in the window guide first, just to help line everything up and work my way back. The next step is going to be reinstalling the window. Hopefully you cleaned it up a little bit, especially at the bottom. Get 40 years worth of crud off of it. I did a half-assed job, but it is what it is. Now this is where your panel popper tool might come in handy. You could probably use a plastic wedge or even a credit card, the studs for the window get hung up on the felt as you slide it down. So you can slide your panel popper tool in there and it gently lift and get it past the stud mounts on the back side of the glass. Slide forward a little bit. There we go. Really, you're just looking for the best way to get the glass in past those studs. And the new window guides are going to create pressure on the glass, so it's not as easy going in as what is coming out. So you might have to give a little pressure going forward. Find that home. We got one more to get past, and 3. And again, felt's creating pressure, so I need to get it past. There's a little bracket here. I go with kind of an up and down motion to make sure the felt doesn't get folded over on itself. And what we're going to do is I'm going to align the studs back in the holes just as a resting space. And I have now a nut ready just to secure it in place. So as you can see, I started this nut here. I haven't torqued it down yet, but if you're wondering stud placement, because there is a slotted window for each stud, you can see the outline in the rust of where the old nut was. So as long as you put it back in place with all the hardware, you should be looking pretty good going back together. Just half an ooga dooga, or as the Germans say, good and tight. Alright, now that the glass is back in, what we're going to do is put those guides back on. First by hand, and if your threads and holes are clean enough, you should be able to work them by hand all the way down. Not over tight, you still want to be able to move the guide for when we set our window position. And then this guy, again, I believe this is for the door card. I'm not too worried about it, but I'm going to put it back where it belongs. What I'm going to do is roll the window all the way up. All good noises. Alright, hopefully rolling the window up helped make sure the felt was in the proper place. But as you can see, the window is pushed all the way towards the car, and the felt's creating pressure. So there's a lot of play, and if you want a good seal for your door and your window, what you're going to want to do is adjust these guide pads so it takes some of that pressure in, and the window can actually glide along the guides. So set this one here. The rear one usually has the most pressure. If you set that first, the front one, you can just basically put it to where you need it. But here is the moment of truth. Roll down okay. This thing's 40 years old, so give it a little break. Seems to roll down okay. The window's touching the guides. The felt's looking good. And then rolling up. The felt is touching on the window, giving that good weather seal. And you should be all set from there. As you can see, the aftermarket one does not come up the window nearly as far as the factory one, but the factory ones are almost unobtainium. They show up every once in a while, but 40 years of rubber and plastic and metal can make, even if it was new old stock, brittle anyway. So the new aftermarket guides from Jegs, I think they're like $38 shipped to my door, and that's how you can replace your seal. After that, obviously, you want to put your door cards back on, your armrest, all that jazz. I'm gonna be creating my own panel, so that's why I don't have any. But that's how you do it. Thanks.